People are constantly searching on YouTube for information about how to ride the helicopter or how they can join a clan war. So in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. When Kefir released Last Day on Earth 3 years ago, it was far from complete, but other than putting the word beta in the loading screen of the game, they didn't tell anyone that it was not complete. In fact, back then, the devs would not even give a straight answer on what things weren't in the game. The most notorious example of this was the motorcycle gas tank, which did not exist in the game at the time, but the devs would not confirm that it was not in the game. Rather, that was left to us players to figure that out. Now, some people were really upset by this, but in doing this, Kefir stumbled upon something that many game companies are only now starting to figure out. The same Google algorithms that cause clickbait videos to do so well on YouTube make games do well on Google Play. By putting so many things in the game that do not exist, players of that game would search on Google and YouTube for answers regarding that game. Google's algorithm bots then read all of these questions as players fully engaging in the game, because asking questions is more common among committed players. Furthermore, all of the questions and internet traffic boosted Last Day on Earth survival SEO rankings, making the game perform better on all Google platforms. And honestly, Google kinda owns the world, so it's going to affect all other platforms as well. So the game exploded because it is fun and it engages people into asking questions, which is the same reason why well done clickbait videos do so well on YouTube. But in doing so, lots of players were left confused on what they should be doing while playing the game, which is why I think that this subject is so important. Knowing what does and doesn't exist in this game is the first step to becoming an advanced player. If you don't know what exists, then how will you know what to start building? For example, if you build your base with the mindset that you are tricking players when they're trying to raid your base, you will probably not design the best base, since the only players raiding your base are AI players. This is an obvious example, but there are some things that don't exist in this game that are not as obvious. In fact, I have had conversations with several advanced players that thought something existed that didn't. In my opinion, there are two main reasons why so many people have confusion on what does and doesn't exist. I already mentioned the first reason was that Kefir has put a lot of things in the game that seem like they exist, but actually don't. As we get further down into this video, you will notice that Kefir has done a great job of throwing players off to what exists and what doesn't. The second reason is that there are a lot of YouTubers out there that like to troll you. They aren't being malicious, YouTube's algorithms gives them a lot of views. And if I'm being honest, you guys are directly affecting how many views they get. Some people that you originally hated because they did clickbait, you watch their videos anyways, and now you like them. So unless YouTube changes their algorithms, you're going to just keep doing it. If you don't want to get trolled, I would recommend not allowing YouTube to make just any video suggestion to you, but rather subscribing to YouTubers that you like their style. But the best way to not get trolled is to stay informed. So in this video, I'm going to list every single thing in the game that does not exist, everything that the devs said that they have been working on, but still hasn't been implemented, everything that used to exist, but doesn't exist anymore, and everything that Kefir has advertised as being in the game with ads, but is actually a lie. And because I want this video to stay current, if anything gets added to the game that I am mentioning in this video, I will put it in a list in a pinned comment below this video. Feel free to check that comment right now if you want to. If anything is listed on that comment, then it has been added to the game and it now exists in the game. That being said, I'm only gonna do this for the next 6 months. So if this video is older than 6 months old, then I'll probably just make a new one, because this game changes so fast all the time. Okay, so first let's talk about all the things that seem like they're in the game, but are actually not in the game yet. Titanium and tungsten are the two materials that you see in the crafting menu that do not exist, and they can often help you identify which of these other items do not exist yet, because all of those items have tungsten and titanium in their recipe. Here's a list of all of the items that are in the crafting menu that do not exist. Now, some of these items do exist in some of Kefir's other games, like the clan banner and repair station exist in Frostborn, and the bear trap, horse saddle, and torture device exist in Grimsoul Survival. Lastly, they did recently show that they have finished some Unity renderings of the mortar, but I'll explain my theories on why that is in a different video. Lastly, you will notice that there are 8 items that require titanium or tungsten to craft in the blueprint menu that actually exist in the game, but you obviously can't craft them yet because titanium and tungsten do not. Here is a list of those 8 items. I know some people theorize that Kefir made these items use tungsten and titanium so that new players would think that titanium and tungsten exist, and I might agree with them, but I know that Kefir also does this to keep certain items extremely rare so that they can charge for them in the shop or give them as premier rewards in season passes. Next, there are 8 weapon mods with active skills that don't exist in the game yet. 1 for the Scar, 1 for the VSS, 2 for the Mini Uzi, 2 for the Winchester, 1 for the Spear, and 1 for the Skull Crusher. The Pump Jack location does not exist, nor do the clan wars that location represents. There's no use for the snorkel since there's no swimming in the game, and flippers have only been accessible by people who have hacked the game. Shorts, sandals, and the Dragunov are also items that are in the game code, but only hackers have access to them. Interacting with furniture does not exist. This stuck door behind the fingerprint room does not exist. The horse does not exist, and servers do not exist. Both of the mechanics and the 10 shops in Crater DC do not have any purpose in the game yet. Bunker Charlie, which is on the world map, does not exist, nor does Delta, Foxtrot, Romeo, or Zulu. This brings us to things that the devs have said they're working on, but they have not yet implemented them into the game. The devs have finished the Flamethrower and could add it to the game at any time if they wanted to, but according to them, it adds too much lag. That being said, Kefir's more advanced closed beta game, Frostborn, has lots of skills that seem kind of like a Flamethrower, so I'm wondering if there's some kind of technological limitation on how Last Day on Earth is set up, which prevents them from doing this. Reinforcing Tier 3 armor was advertised alongside Tier 1 and 2, but that never made it to the game. The devs have advertised lots of new locations including suburbs, subway systems, sewer systems, and city ruins, but none of those are currently in the game. The devs have advertised PvP is in development from the beginning of the game, but it is still not in the game. And while the bases that you raid from the raiders are copies of other players' bases, those bases are checked and approved by the devs and sometimes adjusted. Furthermore, that player does not lose what you stole, as there is no real interaction between players. The healer was added to the game, but the monk, shaman, gypsy, and explorer were never added. Dancing was never added to the game. Interface for gamepads, the metal cutter, and the home brewery were also never added to the game. Most of these concepts never made it to the game, and most of these concepts never made it to the game. The hub may have just been introduced into the game as Crater DC, but as I said earlier, even Crater DC is far from being complete. Repairing or removing the old truck, which has been teased a few times, has not been implemented into the game. They have advertised several multiplayer locations, new multiplayer gear, and a multiplayer camp module, none of which have been added to the game. They showed a bunch of decorations for an upcoming outpost, but the outpost never happened. Yet, you will notice that some of these decorations did find their way into the game. The drawing board was never added to the game. Corgis were added to the game, but Rottweilers were not. They've had 3 different roadmaps, each of which have been completed about halfway. They mentioned adding a crossbow and a Necrotic Hybrid, but neither of those have happened yet. These single-player armor concepts never made into the game, and finally, the helicopter and zombie truck don't seem like they're going to be added into the game anytime soon. This brings us to things that used to be in the game but are no longer in the game. Power armor with a weaponized multi-tool used to be the only way to interact with Sector 7, but it was not something that we built or crafted, but rather just something that was already there. But it is no longer anywhere in the game. And with it went the cocoons that we used to destroy and the crystals that we used to collect. There was also a clan base with the idea of underground drilling and expansion, but that is all gone now. The dual Berettas were replaced by the Colt Python. The missing active modifications for the Scar and the VSS were found already placed on those guns in the rewards at Sector 7, but they are no longer available. Paralyzing Shot was replaced with Power Shot. The home brewery used to be in our crafting blueprints, but it was taken out. The concept of hiring workers to increase the production of your workbench has never made it into the game, but is no longer even advertised as something that is coming. Hiring mercenaries, on the other hand, did make it into the game, but they are no longer in the game. The Smuggler's Camp and both shipwreck events are no longer in the game. The Radioactive Storm and then later Zombie Horde in Sector 7 are both no longer in the game. And then Last Day on Earth has had tons of different holiday events introducing concepts like snowmobile racing, sneaking around a farm, fireworks, dueling Milan, a pumpkin head horde, a first year anniversary surprise box, a second year anniversary 7-day event chain, a ranged sneak attack wand, and a Brazilian carnival. This brings us to the last category of things that have showed up in Last Day on Earth advertisements that are actually just fabricated. Dogs obviously do not level up this quickly or this much, and they cannot wear gear like this. But this commercial does make us wonder what they've been developing behind the scenes. Some people don't realize that Last Day on Earth has been advertising building a second floor for a very long time, but this most recent advertisement got a lot of attention. And I think Last Day on Earth has made some other advertisements in which they advertise sniping or a level 99 big one. Now, I don't watch a lot of advertisements, so these are the only two that I could find. So if you have seen advertisements with something that is not actually in the game, make sure to comment about it so that we can upvote it and others can see it. Well, that's it guys, hope that helps. This video is a remake of one of my older videos, so if you want to see how much this game has changed or how much this channel has improved, make sure to check out the original video called Last Day on Earth Survival, an explanation of the ATV, helicopter, ash, and tungsten. If you are interested in subscribing, I post a new video every Friday at the same time each week. Also, I'm going to be making a lot of Last Day on Earth videos over the next couple months because I'm getting really close to 100,000 subscribers, so I'm going to try to speed that up. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.